even in 1990, that was, I'd say, the majority of companies did not integrate their communications. Most companies had a PR department and an advertising department and a sales department, totally not integrated. And so this was a fairly, around 1990, a fairly revolutionary idea that, gee, these should all come under one head, and they should coordinate their budgets, coordinate their activities, end up with the same objectives and goals, and focus their efforts in that way. That was the theory. But as the internet picked up traction, and particularly by the time that Obama used it to win the American presidency, it became obvious to all of us in marketing that we had to take this extremely seriously. And the very nature of online marketing integrates whether you like it or not. You cannot do marketing online successfully without integrating your marketing. So if IMC was ever important, it became crucial and beyond debate as of 2008, basically. By 2008, when we saw Obama win the presidency using social media primarily, like I say, any of us in this business, anybody in the industry said, whoa, okay, now we have to take it seriously. Before that, we were just kind of, yeah, there's potential here, sort of thing, but we didn't see it. We didn't see it coming the way it did. By the way, the year after, and I think it took everybody by such storm. I may have the exact statistics in this presentation. I don't remember, but if I remember right, Facebook, in the year after Obama's victory, increased its usage something like fivefold, 500%. And Twitter increased by 1,000%. So I think part of that was due to people looking at what Obama did and saying exactly what I did. Now we have to take this seriously. I know I myself, I was on MySpace, I believe, before that. I maybe had a Facebook site, I don't remember. But I really did not think it had that much professional importance to me yet. And it was a big eye-opener for me. So that's why I'm presenting this today, is that it is about the internet, what is happening to the internet, the revolutionary aspects of it, but it's also, specifically about marketing, as it suggests, and that's vital because everything else goes off of marketing. Nothing else happens in communications without marketing, or in any technology. As I said before, technology can just sit there dormant for decades without somebody figuring out, gee, this sliced bread is really cool, whatever it might be. Anyway, this presentation was designed to show people how to increase their marketing power on the internet by 5,000% through some very specific studies. And so again, this may be, hopefully it'll be an eye-opener for you as you get into the business. There's going to be lots of opportunities in lots of ways. I did not, my bachelor's degree was journalism. My focus was print journalism. I had no idea that I would get into PR marketing ever. I did not, I think I took one advertising class. I'm not sure if I took a PR class. I did take a couple of broadcasting classes, which helps with my audio-visual, but I didn't think that I would ever go into PR marketing. That was not my sort of thing, and I didn't do it until, I think I mentioned before, in the 1990s. My kids were teenagers, and my night work at the newspaper was such that I hardly saw my family. And so when I had the opportunity to jump over to PR marketing, I decided that for my family's sake I would do that. And so I was in PR marketing most of the 1990s, and then I got back into pure journalism. Well, kind of. I started a commercial newspaper, and then after 2000, but I also had a contract with the state of Washington, which I was doing a bilingual. I talked to you. I mentioned this before. Doing the bilingual newspaper for the state. So technically, that was PR, because I was hired, even though I was using just journalistic skills by and large. They asked me to do other stuff sometimes, and I did. I helped with other PR marketing aspects at times, but my primary job was to write and edit and produce a bilingual English-Spanish education-related newspaper for them. And it allowed me to do other things because it was only a quarterly newspaper, and it paid me enough to live on, and I could do other stuff. So I also started a regular commercial newspaper at the same time. So I was doing both simultaneously, but technically the contract with the state was PR, but it was almost totally journalistic in nature. So I don't know what to call that in my CV. So how many of you have heard of inbound marketing? You know, inbound marketing, or maybe you've heard content marketing is another almost synonym. It's not quite a synonym, but it's very close to a synonym to inbound marketing. Basically, that is marketing that invites people to come to your website or to respond to you in some way on a voluntary basis. So, for example, here are some types of, I guess before that, if you start looking at the priorities of marketing, this is what executives say are their priorities. And so we have the increasing the number of contacts or leads. They frequently just call them leads, but actually one of the types of organizations that most benefits from inbound marketing, in fact, the one that actually is at the very top, the one that benefits the most from inbound marketing are NGOs, non-government organizations, non-profit organizations. They really, they surpass both business-to-business marketing and business-to-consumer, B2B or B2C marketing substantially. So even if you end up, and some of you will end up in NGOs, working with NGOs, using your communication skills for that, you will have to understand this. Anyway, so in fact, let me, before I go on with this, mention that when we start talking about things like inbound marketing, if you divided all the different types of marketing, PR, went back the way before, without integrated marketing communication, then inbound marketing would be in the realm of PR. And yet it's one of the most powerful types of marketing in this day and age, and it's really a PR function. Because how do you define PR as opposed to advertising? How would you divide PR from advertising? Go ahead and get this going around. Pass it around and end up here. So what's the difference between PR and advertising? If you had to divide it and you decided you wanted separate departments of your business between PR and advertising, how would you divide it? What's the difference between PR and advertising? By the way, we are looking at adding a PR advertising major within our department. That's also how it becomes relevant. Anybody have an idea? Come on, speak up. The difference between PR and advertising. How do you divide the difference? The PR, you divide separate departments. PR and advertising, what's the difference? What do you divide them at? You wake up Monday now. What do you think? How do you divide PR from advertising? a product, like an ad, like a print ad or something that you're saying, PR is beyond that. Okay, that's one way of looking at it. Any other ideas? Basically, I always grew up with the idea, and my professional life grew up, but the main difference was whether or not you had to pay for it. If you had to pay for it, that was advertising. If you didn't pay for it, that was PR. Now, that's kind of, in this part of the world, or lots of part of the world, not just, mostly in developing countries, a lot of PR is paid for. In Kazakhstan, if you can get a story on the front page if you pay enough. You just go to the newspaper and say, I want a front page story, here it is, and here's your whatever, however much they have to pay for it. So a lot of journalism is driven by actual payment, and they do not market as paid advertising or PR. So that's, by American standards, that's a breach of ethics. You can't do that. But there are some, even the newspaper I mentioned that I still am involved with, the entertainment newspaper, we're running ads about entertainment, our stories about entertainment. So if somebody comes in and brings a full-page ad, do you think we're going to run a story about their event? Well, duh, yeah. So it's not a direct payment for the story, but they're expecting us to run a story, and we expect to run a story. And so they buy a substantial size ad. I mean, again, the content and the because it's a niche product, the content, as I think I mentioned before, that we actually bought it because people were actually reading the advertising more than the stories. The stories were not very good. They didn't spend much time. They was not being run by journalists. And so the stories, their editorial content, their news content was not very good. So we knew we could improve on that. And yet people were picking it up every day because of the advertising. So it was kind of, once we saw that was happening, then that gave us confidence in paying quite a bit of money to buy it from the person that originated it. So anyway, so even in America there are some gray areas, let me put it that way. But to outright accept money to put a news story and not market as advertising is a breach of ethics in most Western countries. And I don't know what they mean by Western. Most of the developed countries, let me put it that way, because I know they buy PR in South America, and that's in the West. So so it's not just in Kazakhstan. Let me put it that way. Okay, so the top goals of marketing include increasing your leads or contacts. So in NGOs, it probably wouldn't be leads per se. You're not selling anything to anybody, but you do need contacts. You need to be able to communicate with people that support your issue, whatever it is you are as an NGO. Converting contacts to customers. Again, NGOs may not have customers exactly, but they have people participating in their events. Reaching the relevant audience, increasing revenue derived from existing customers, proving your ROI. What's ROI? Return on investment. Increasing your ROI of your marketing activities, reducing the cost of contacts or leads or customer acquisition, reducing those costs. Well, inbound marketing does essentially all of that because you don't pay for inbound marketing. So as I said, inbound marketing is really more in the PR realm that many of you will end up in. And so you need to be very aware of how that works. And indeed, it was in that realm that Obama won his election. It was in the realm of PR. He wasn't paying for all the traffic he was getting to his Facebook site and so forth. He was, by and large, he may have paid for some, but by and large, he was just people were being attracted to it and attracting their friends and building the traffic, and that gave him that election. The American politics, let me add this, is divided in such a way that the Republicans and Democrats kind of offset each other. The Democrats are have a little bit higher number. So if it was just an election between Republicans and Democrats, the Democrats would win most of the time. But there's a big segment that call themselves independents. And in many cases, independents are just stupid people. The truth is, there are people that kind of ignore politics until something important happens, and they really don't have a philosophy of what they believe in. And so very frequently they can be swayed very easily by people with a little bit of charisma, or that have some sort of big issue that they're running on. And so these people in the middle, on the one hand, gave the election to Obama, who is very close to being a socialist. If he's not, I'd say he probably is. In his real philosophy, he's a socialist. On the other hand, Trump, who's a capitalist, in the next election. And it's really the middle of the road, this group of independents, that decides which way it runs, and it doesn't make any sense. Why would you vote for Obama one time and Trump another time? It makes no sense. And so that's why I say really the independents in America are really kind of stupid people. They don't really think, they don't have a philosophy. They get swung by PR, marketing, and so forth. They get swung by the professionals who can do the best job of marketing to them, because they will go either way. And so, anyway, we'll go on with that. But so Obama would not have won. If you had a 4% swing, Obama would not have won, and yet he had twice as much money. His social media, he had as much money just from online donations as McCain, his opponent, did in all of his donations. And then he had additional donations besides his online donations. So altogether, he had almost twice as much money. He was the first one to approach $1 billion in political donations. McCain, even though he had half as much money, would have set a record for the most donations ever received by any candidate except Obama. He had twice as much as he did. So that's how revolutionary it was for what Obama did. McCain set a record for the most money ever received as donations, except Obama had twice as much as he did. The numbers were ridiculous. And so the fact that he only won by a 4% margin is quite remarkable, because he had his social media was such that he could get donations anytime he needs. Oh, we need more money. People would be pouring in money. He'd say, we need you to go out and talk to your people, or please forward this to your friends, and all this sort of stuff. He was able to drive activism through his social media. It also helped that he had just published a book, and people kind of, he was able to promote his book, which in turn promoted real devotion to his cause, so to speak. And so that was important. And he was charismatic. My daughter is very conservative. And she took a conservative friend to hear Obama at their local stadium. And she was shocked, because she is a very intellectual conservative, that her friend, who's not an intellectual conservative, but a conservative, was thinking about voting for Obama. And she had to say, what the heck? He doesn't believe anything you believe in. How can you possibly vote for him? And it's because of his charisma. So all that helped. McCain was not particularly charismatic. But again, he won by those 4 percentage points, had twice as much money. So in other words, he did not represent mainstream America in any way. But he still won because of this. So that's the power of this type of marketing. So when we start looking at what's happening in the field of marketing, we can see over here, this is from basically a survey of 2 different groups, one the marketing professionals and one the sales professionals. And so, like I say, they're kind of, actually, sales is part of marketing, but we won't argue about that. So over here on the left, the question is, which lead sources have become more important over the last 6 months? And so we see over the far left, social media is at the very top. Next to that, blogs, which is another type of inbound marketing. It's an unpaid type of marketing that gets people to come to your website. Next to that is SEO, search engine optimization. That's hard to divide that from inbound marketing, because SEO, search engine optimization, depends on you, obviously, how do you get to the top of the search engine? When somebody goes to Google, how do you get to the top? And what we're finding, and I'll show you some statistics, is that relates a great deal to inbound marketing products, such as blogging.
because the more information you have on your website, the more likely somebody's going to find you on Google. And so one of the keys in this modern world of SEO is inbound marketing. And so you can't really separate it. Email marketing. Now, email marketing then is now communicating with people in person, one-on-one. Email marketing totally is driven in this day and age by inbound marketing. What you do, and we'll go through this in another slide, but in essence, what you're doing with inbound marketing, let's say one of your strategies is to give away a free ebook. Or in fact, these are things we'll be recommending to our university, a free ebook or a free webinar. Webinar is an online seminar. So you're giving away something free. Or is it free? What do you get in return? Well, they have to register to get your free ebook or your free webinar. They have to give you their name and their email address. And usually there's a little box, we'd like more information about such events as this or such whatever. And so you're trying to get them to give you permission to get into your database. Once they're in your database, you can email them individually. So maybe you get them hooked on a webinar, so you now have another webinar. And so you email them about the next webinar. And of course, every time you email them, you also give them links and give them an opportunity to see what your products are, whatever they are, that somehow should relate to your ebooks or to your webinars. So you're offering something, and so your free ebooks and your free marketing. In fact, if you have a webinar, it's usually a 50-minute webinar and a 10-minute commercial at the end of it, telling them what it is that your company does or your NGO or whatever it is that would be helpful to them, that somehow relates to the subject of your webinar. And so you're getting them to voluntarily give you their information, and the more they come to your website and the more they participate in your inbound marketing activities, each time you add another question about their organization. How big is their organization? What is your role? And you just add another question to it until gradually people who are responding to this are revealing more and more about themselves. The first time, maybe all you want is their name and email address. That's all you ask for. And then you ask for a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more until you know all about them. And you also know about them because you know what they're responding to. What webinars are they coming to? What ebooks are they interested in? What white papers are they interested in? Where are they going on your website? All this sort of stuff. You start building a profile on every individual. Email marketing is very much involved with inbound marketing. It's kind of the final results. It's kind of the key result of inbound marketing. You want their name and their email address and permission to contact them. That's what you're driving for. Now from here, this is in a gray area. PPC, what's PPC stand for? Anybody? Pay per click. So that is advertising in social media. You pay every time somebody clicks on your ad, and when they click on their ad, they take you to your website. And more specifically, it takes you to your landing page. You create a specific landing page on your website for every inbound marketing product you have, every ebook, every white paper, every webinar, every whatever it is you're offering. Within the realm of inbound marketing, you can have games. You can offer free games. You can offer free coupons. And so it's not just, it does get a little bit outside of what we normally think of as PR, but whatever it is, you're getting this in a fashion that is free, and therefore in the realm that we would normally attribute to PR. Now PPC makes it more confusing, because now you're on social. Now let's say you're on Facebook, and you might pay. Last time I did some advertising with Facebook, it was like 5 cents per click. That's it, 5 cents a click. Now it had gotten up to $1 per click, and so I don't know exactly what happened. I know they're struggling a little bit because some of the browsers are blocking some of the ads on social media. So I know the social media are struggling with some of the browsers and stuff. But anyway, So you pay a certain amount. Let's say you pay 30 cents per click. Again, what you're paying for is you just put a little tiny ad in on Facebook, let's say, and when they click on that, they go to your website, and they go to a special page that you've created for them. And so let's say they're signing up for a webinar. So they're going to give you're going to have maybe even a little bit of video on there explaining what the webinar is about. Online video enhances marketing dramatically. And when you have online video, then people read the content a little bit more too. So you have some more about what you're offering them free. You have a little video about it perhaps to give them a little taste of what you're going to teach them. And then you have, please register, and you have a place for their name and their email address. So you can get that in your database. But anyway, you are paying for that PPC, but you're then bringing them to your, it's a small ad. You have like maybe 4 words at most on that small ad and a graphic, but you're getting them to come to your web page, to your landing page to give them the rest of the story and to get their name and email address. PPC is advertising, but it's within the social media realm, basically. It doesn't show it up here, but there's also another type of advertising that can also be PPC called native advertising. And I may have explained this to you before. Native advertising, when you're on Facebook or some of the other spaces, you will see something interesting, and if you look real closely in really small type, it says sponsored. What that means is they are paying for it. That's a paid ad. So it's in the stream, so to speak, so it's hidden among all of the organic postings of Facebook or other social media, but this one's paid for. And the fact they paid for it now, they're not dependent just on the people. It doesn't just appear to their followers. It goes on many other sites besides their followers because now they're paying for it. And so they do identify it in really small type, sponsored, but that's a paid ad. They try, if they're smart, they will make it look like all the other postings, maybe better than all the other postings, but organic. And so you see some recently on Facebook, if you go on there very much, there's one where they're using drones to take pictures of, there's one that I forwarded just the other day. In fact, I forwarded a couple of them. I know they're paid for. I know it's a paid ad, but it's still interesting. They're using drones to fly over famous cities or famous countries or whatever, and really beautiful pictures and stuff. So they're really interesting. And they're offering their services to other cities, saying, hey, if you want us to fly over your city and do a movie about your city with our drones, just pay us, $100,000, we'll come do a movie for you with our drones. So I've even forwarded to my friends these paid ads because they are good. They really do a good job, to see a new city or someplace from the air and to kind of become familiar with it. So, it just, the native advertising, if it's done well, is going to be something that people will want to forward. Even if you're smart enough to know that this is a paid ad, you find it interesting enough that you're going to forward it to your friends anyway. And so they get this viral action on it. So native advertising is intended to look like organic advertising in social media. It can be stretched. Also, a lot of newspapers now are using native advertising. And there's big ethical questions about this because some newspapers, even like the Wall Street Journal, are actually assigning journalists to go write these stories that are then going to be run as paid ads, and they will say sponsored or they will say paid ad or something on them. But a lot of their readers will not be able to tell the difference between the paid ads. They don't understand native advertising. And so if it's done well, they will read the native advertising and not know it's advertising. And the newspapers know this. And so that's where it crosses the ethical lines, where it raises questions about is this ethical? To assign a journalist to go write a native ad for an advertiser, and even though it's marked, so you've taken, you've taken care of your legal obligation, you might say, and your smart readers will see that this is an ad, but there'll be a lot of readers who won't because they don't understand what's going on. They won't notice it's an ad. So anyway, these are the more traditional stuff, trade shows, traditional advertising, direct mail, telemarketing, and see what's happening to them compared to online marketing. And particularly, the items that are free. And that's the inbound marketing. Here's another look at it from a different survey. So this one's asking business-to-business marketers about how they're shifting their budgets. And again, social media, virtual events like webinars, search engine optimization, paid search would be, through Google, like word ads and stuff, public relations in general is covering a lot of those areas. And then down here, telemarketing, direct mail, trade shows, print advertising is all dropping. So you see the trends here. And so for that reason, because of the power of inbound marketing, the kind of the slogan you might say is content is king. We have to figure out good content and get people to read our advertising, our marketing. It may not be advertising, let's say marketing is a better word, because it may be free, it may be postings on Facebook, or it may be a video on YouTube that we want people to share and we want it to go viral. One of the main reasons why people, everybody know what the Super Bowl is? It's the championship for American football. Anyway, it demands the biggest payment for advertising of any event in the world. And people pay for it in part because they put on brand new ads that they hope will go viral. And many of them put their ads on YouTube before the event. So like 2 weeks before the Super Bowl, they're already putting them on YouTube because they want to get this viral action. And indeed, many of them pay for themselves not because of the success during the Super Bowl, but because of the viral action even that starts before the Super Bowl. A lot of women watch the Super Bowl mostly for the ads. The ads are really done well, and they spend a lot of money on them. And so they break out their most creative people to create these ads for Super Bowl. And maybe, probably not in this class, but in some other class you take from me, we may look at Super Bowl ads because they're usually funny or provocative or something. They're done really well. Anyway, so when you start talking about inbound marketing or content marketing or whatever, then you start looking at why is this effective? First off, it creates buzz in social media marketing. It creates this viral action. I mentioned to you before that study I did back in 1978 about shocking good news. The first studied example where suddenly information about a news event shot through society, and in one day, almost 100% of the people knew about it. In that case, it was a regional news, so we were just studying it regional. It wasn't a national news story. But in one day, 97% of the people knew about it, and most of them knew about it because of word of mouth, not because of the news media. And so that was very different than all the other good news they'd ever studied. All the other good news they'd studied went to like 25% of the people in one day, and it was mostly through the news media. And so bad news they had found, like assassinations, had shot through society like that, but there never had been a good news story shoot through society before, in any study before we did it in 1978. And so you want, in this day and age of the internet, we get shocking, good postings all the time. Some of them silly, of babies doing something weird or animals doing something strange or whatever. And that's kind of shocking good news. And it's shooting through our society in a viral way where people are sharing it with each other. So we want to attract visitors to our website repeatedly, hopefully by having good enough content that people will come back and look at our website for other interesting content. We want to achieve credibility. If you have a good blog, if you're offering good webinars, if you give away a good ebook, now you're building your thought leadership. You are becoming more credible to people. So there's one company that I've attend their webinars all the time. I don't have the money for their services, but if I ever did, I'd be going to them because they have built their credibility with me over the last decade to where I trust them more than I trust anybody else. Now, so it's going to be, you know, I may be taking advantage of all their free stuff for 10 years, but someday I'm going to get into the marketing mode and I'm going to have the money behind me and I'm going to go back to them. HubSpot is their name, and they will have me as a customer. And that, you know, so it may take 10 years to get to turn somebody like me into a customer, but you know, if that opportunity comes up, you've achieved credibility with that person. And so you're going to go back to them. And because I keep going back for more ebooks and more, you know, blogs and more webinars and stuff like that, they're getting more and more information on me, so they know, you know, they know a lot about me. And I'm always in contact with them. I receive their posts, I receive email from them, you know, just about every day for some type or another, and I don't block them because they have credibility with me, and I want to be on top of what they're doing. So again, it helps gather contact and preference data for personalized marketing. And that in a poll of marketing executives was their number one goal was to personalize their marketing. And that's all facilitated by inbound marketing. Now there's other ways too. You can track them when they come to your website, see what they go look at, and you can automatically start building a profile on them by where they're going on your website, stuff like that. But still, it relates very, very strongly to inbound marketing is how you can then personalize their marketing because you know what they're interested in. You know how they think. You start looking even at psychographics, not just demographics, but now you start going for psychographics. How do they think? And you go for that. And you convert visitors essentially into clients. And that's where we also get into email. Again, the email marketing becomes very pivotal in that. So again, looking a little bit further into this, the percentage of marketers that practice inbound marketing, this was in 2013, this is in 2014. So in just 1 year, what's in orange, it grew from about 60% to over 80% in 1 year. So it's becoming more mainstream, and almost all organizations are now participating in inbound marketing. The blue is no inbound marketing. So you see that number is shrinking, and the part in orange is growing very rapidly. For those that are participating in it, we're seeing this. The primary lead sources by inbound or outbound marketing. The orange is inbound marketing. The blue is outbound marketing. Outbound marketing is advertising. Basically, it's your traditional stuff, your trade shows, your paid advertising, that sort of stuff. That's your outbound marketing. That goes out and tries to grab people and pull them into your, kind of brainwash them or whatever. It's your stuff that are, when you get on a TV commercial, it raises their voice and, come see our newest product, whatever, and all that sort of stuff. That's outbound, intrusive advertising. Whereas inbound marketing is very soft. And we invite you to come and get your free ebook. We invite you to come to the free webinar. Very soft, very different approach. And that's up here gaining momentum, whereas the outbound marketing is losing momentum. It's there's more than just those two types of marketing. And we'll get that in a second. But this then divides, the blue is business-to-business marketing, orange is business-to-consumer marketing, and the gray is a nonprofit, non-government marketing. So you see who's really benefiting the most are the NGOs, who don't have much money typically, and so they're increasing their marketing or their outreach to people through inbound marketing because it's free. And so they're doing that. So these are the people that saw greater ROI, greater return on investment than in the previous year through inbound marketing. These are the ones that saw lower ROI during the previous year. So very few people saw lower ROI. Most people saw higher ROI for their efforts. Now, inbound marketing, by the way, what do you mean by ROI? What kind of investment is there? Well, there is investment because you have to pay people to create your material. So if you're going to have a webinar, somebody has to create the webinar. If If you're going to have an ebook, somebody has to create the ebook. If you're going to offer a blog, somebody has to write the blog. So there is cost to inbound marketing. It's just you're not paying somebody, you're not paying a newspaper or somebody for that marketing, but internally you have cost. And so it's a lot less, but it's still you have cost. This ad shows other types of marketing. So we were concentrating on inbound marketing and basically outbound marketing, cold calling, outdoor ads, trade shows, purchase lists, stuff like that. Here's, they have a separate category for this in-between stuff, the gray area, so to speak, and that is PPC, social media ads, the native ads I was talking about. Does not actually fall in outbound marketing. They've they've split it off now to paid media, and so you see that has, particularly business to consumer, is quite important for them. And then the blue area is just self-sourced leads from the sales team and stuff, so person-to-person contacts. Inbound marketing costs 62% less than outbound marketing. So that's driving it. You know you get much more results, and if you're smart about it, you get better results, and it costs basically 2/3 less than again, considering all your creative time in creating the products and so forth. So it makes it very important. And it depends a little bit on what size of company you have. So the first one is 1 to 25 employees. The second set of bars is for 51 to 200 employees. One is for really large companies, so they can save a lot of money by the fact that they already have branding and stuff going on, and so their cost is lower overall. But still, the inbound marketing for all of them is a lot less. By percentage, it's the middle-sized companies that save the most in their inbound marketing as opposed to outbound marketing. So again, to get permission to begin individualizing your marketing communications, including your emails, to people, you're offering free ebooks, free webinars, free online courses, free white papers, free newsletters, and you create excellent landing pages on your website for them to come to with each separate offer that you make. So they don't go to just they don't go to the front page ever. That would be crazy to send them to the front page. Front page is not your landing page. A landing page is made very specifically for what they're responding to in order to get their information from them. So in essence, you're trading content for data. You're trading your content, webinar, whatever it is, for their data. So here's some correlations. The impact of the number of landing pages you have. So as I said, for every free item you're offering, you're going to have a different landing page. So if you are up here to where you have over 40 landing pages, that means you're very active in offering free stuff. You've had lots of webinars. You've had offering lots of ebooks or white papers or whatever it is you're offering. If you have over 40, that means you're very active in the business, that you are a true professional in the area of inbound marketing. And so this is what they're seeing. They're correlating the number of landing pages you have to how many leads you're getting. And so if you have very few landing pages, then you're down here at maybe, I think, in fact, the number of landing pages to lead generation. I think this is percentage down here. It doesn't really say clearly. So in other words, if you have any landing pages, you have 100% more traffic to your more leads than you do if you have no landing pages. But you get down here and you have over 40 landing pages, and now you're up over 400% more leads than if you have none. So by the number of offerings that you make in inbound marketing, the more traffic you're going to build to your website, and the more leads you're going to get, the more information you're going to get from people. Here's a correlation between the number of web pages you have. If you're really in the practice of inbound marketing, let's just say you're running a blog. Well, every blog is a new entry point for SEO, for the search engines to find you. Every blog is different. So if you're blogging, if somebody in your organization is blogging every day, that's 365 blogs a year. Anyway, the more content you have. Now, I'm not just talking about blogs, but again, everything, videos, blogs, ebooks, anything you have that's interesting content, the more content you have on your page, the higher the traffic index. So you get over here for B2C marketing, over 1,000 pages of content, and now you're up here to about 3,500% more traffic than if you were not practicing inbound marketing, or if you were actually more than if you were down here to 50 pages. Now, 50 pages is a lot of pages for a lot of websites. Well, this is saying, yeah, that's piddly. You need to be building your websites. You need 1,000 pages or more. And that 3,500% more traffic ends up with 1,500% more leads. Again, leads is kind of in quotation marks for an NGO or something. Lead is something. That doesn't mean you're going to get money out of it. This is blogs. So if you blog never, you're down here for your lead index. How many times a month are you blogging? Twice, 5 times, 8 times, 15, over 15. In other words, more than basically once every 2 days or more often. Now you spike up here to where you're getting about 1,000% more leads just based on blogging. So again, blogging is very closely associated with search engine optimization because it gives you a new entry point and something new for the search engine to find on your website, to bring them to your website. So there's lots of reasons why the blogs help drive your traffic and drive your lead. It also is part of your credibility, part of your thought leadership. If people come to your blog on a regular basis because they like the way you think, well then, if they're going to somehow you commercialize it, some reason they have to pay you for your expertise, you've created a certain amount of credibility with them. Here's the impact of total published blog posts on inbound leads. So if you're blogging every day, now that's more than most people do, but if your organization is blogging every day, that's 30 blogs a month. So in 1 year, you can have over 200 blogs on your website. And you see what happens if you have over 200 blogs on your website. Now you're up here and you're going to have get 600% more leads than if you're down there to 10 or less. So again, how much you blog is important. Indeed, the impact of blogging on your inbound return on investment is 13 times, 1,300% overall. If you blog a lot, then you're going to have 13 times more return on investment from your efforts. There's a website, if you were really into blogging, there's a website called Storify.com that allows you to very easily create multimedia blogs. I'm not going to take a lot of time with that, but if you're interested in it, you might want to go to Storify.com. Anyway, it has some videos and stuff to help you get into it, to show how to do it. But in essence, this is your blog area, and this is a search engine. And you see across the top, basically you can do a search engine on almost all the social media. So you can do a search on Twitter and find postings on Twitter that might support your blog, and you just drag and drop it into your blog. You can do a search of Facebook, you can do a search of Google, you can do or Google Plus. Anyway, you can do a search of YouTube. You can do a search of photo sites. And in each case, you're writing your blog, and you just drag and drop whatever social media content you can find in a search engine over here, drag and drop it into into your blog. And so rather quickly, for me, it's mostly I'm looking at YouTube. And so I'm trying to find really good video content to support my blog. And so I'm typing away in my blog, put in the headline, put in my lead, and then I go find a video that supports it, drag and drop it into the middle of my blog. And you, like I said, very quickly create a multimedia blog, which is much more effective than a just print blog. Anyway, I go through some other aspects of that. Just demonstrating here, I'm writing my lead, writing my headline. I do a search over here, so I've done a search here of YouTube videos. I can find one of those and drag and drop. This is one of the sources I use in some of my content, even in this presentation. Drag and drop this video in, and then I write some more information, and so I have myself a multimedia blog. Then you save it, and it actually is posted on Storify.com. So Storify.com is trying to be a social media site itself, not very effectively, but it also then gives you, lets you get the, you can export it, you can get embed code with it and share it in different ways. And so among ways is to get embed code, in which case you can embed it into your website, and so it's in your website and with all the multimedia and stuff embedded with it on your own website. There's the embed code here. You get embed code also from YouTube. I mentioned, well, Moodle does it more automatically, but basically the way I handle these videos is I do the video obviously in class, I upload it to YouTube, and then the embed code goes into Moodle. And so it's using YouTube's power, its expertise in doing video to come up faster, to download faster, upload faster, does everything faster by going through YouTube. And so all of our, I make them unlisted, but all of our lectures here in class are going onto YouTube first, and then embedding back into Moodle. You can embed it in any website. I can create just a website in any fashion and embed video, or embed this multimedia blog from Storify.com. So again, using the inbound marketing drive, to drive social media, you have blogs. You put them in social media. You promote your blog in social media. So you start interacting your social media with your inbound marketing content. You create a webinar. What are you going to do? You're going to promote your webinar in social media. You create a new video for YouTube, and you're going to post your video on social media. You create a new report. What are you going to do with it? Post it on social media. You offer free classes. What are you going to do with it? You're going to promote it on social media. You create a free game. What are you going to do with it? You're going to promote it on social media. And so all this stuff becomes intertwined, your social media and your production of these different inbound marketing products. The impact of company Facebook reach on inbound marketing. So if you're active in Facebook, it will drive your Facebook likes as you put more of your products, as you put information about your free ebook, information about your free webinar, all that sort of stuff. It drives your Facebook likes as you offer good content on your social media. So the two, again, interact very closely. Same with Twitter. The impact of company Twitter reach on inbound traffic. So you interact the two. You promote all these free products on your social media, and it will drive traffic to your website. So it's kind of you create kind of a circular action here as you interact your inbound marketing products with your social media. So the more inbound marketing tools you create, ebooks, webinars, all that sort of stuff, then the more social media messages you can create based on those products, and then that creates more inbound traffic, which then drives additional inbound marketing tools, and so you can build up a system that is very, very effective in driving traffic to your website and getting more leads and ultimately more sales. One thing you have to understand, though, is that you don't ever accept a free blog site. You don't accept free blog sites. Why don't you accept free blog sites? Think about it a second. If you offer a free blog site, where does it go to? Where does your traffic go? It goes to your free blog site. That's not really your blog site. That's somebody else's site that you're borrowing. So I would never promote Storify.com. That's a free blog site. I'm not going to promote my free blog site on Storify.com. And they know that, and that's why they give me the embed code so I can put that on my site. I'm going to promote my site because the purpose of my blogging is to get people to come to my website. It does you no good at all if you create a free blog site and you drive traffic to their blog site. That does almost no good marketing-wise. So you want your blog ultimately to be on your site. You want to drive traffic to your site. And that's true whether you're a news organization or a marketing organization. You want to drive traffic to your site. And so in this example, this is a posting by this organization called Breitbart. It writes a lot of stories. They're a journalistic organization, one of the organizations that drove the Trump victory was Breitbart. But you go on here and you click on it. This is not a page. This is not paid. This is not sponsored. This is just being driven by people who like to read their news, and they're sharing it with their friends. So this is all viralized. But you click on this and you do not read their blog here. That will then take you to their blog, to their own website. So you actually read the blog on their website. So the posting is posted like a picture. You click on it and you go to their website. And so that's the whole point. You want people to come to your website. You want to drive traffic to your website. You don't want to just attract them to your blog site. You don't want to just attract them to your own account on Facebook. That doesn't do you nearly as much good as you get them to your website. You're driving traffic. And again, that's true whether or not you're marketing, whether if you're just creating an online news site. It's the same thing. Breitbart is an example of that. They'll put a little bit of information on their Facebook, just enough to get you to click on it, so you will go where? To their website. They do not want you to read all their news on the Facebook site. Now, there's also video that takes things up to even a higher level, even higher. People still prefer video over reading content. We've talked about that before. I kind of poo-poo the idea that people aren't reading as much anymore because people are reading all the time. They're just maybe not reading books. They're reading Facebook. They're reading Twitter. They're reading lots of stuff. They maybe aren't reading that many books anymore. But they still prefer video. Video is a preferred medium, and so that does relate back to the audio-video era. That's why television is still doing quite well, and newspapers are not doing quite well, because people still prefer video. And television is still offering, last I saw, video. So video is still extremely important in any strategy you have in marketing or in news, by the way. The news site should be offering more video content. Not just, by the way, not just in their news, which they should do. They need more video in their news, that's true. They also need to be offering video advertising. And most of them are not. And they're stupid for not doing that. Because video advertising is one of the biggest trends online is video advertising. So every newspaper that's trying to drive traffic to their website and to sell more ads needs to be offering video advertising. They're idiots not to. But that's true. They are idiots. They haven't figured this out. They haven't figured out the competition here. They still are just trying to move their offline content online. That's not going to work. They're going to die doing that. I mentioned this before. In June of 2011, there were 6 billion video views on the internet. In 2012, 33 billion video views on the internet, an increase of 550%. This was the starting of the revolution. Now, this correlates with the beginning of the revolution of mobile. As I mentioned before, one of the only things you could do on mobile in 2012 was watch video. The websites were totally unmobile friendly, if you want to say. But video was easy. You could go to YouTube and watch a video easy on your mobile device. But you couldn't surf websites very well on your mobile device because you were going backwards and forwards. And what they found is people don't mind going up and down on a website. That they expect. They do not want to go back and forth on a website. And so the main key to being mobile friendly, and now you actually get a higher ranking by Google and many of the other search engines if your site is mobile friendly, the key is to be able to let people just go up and down and not go backwards, and left and right. No left and right in mobile, up and down. So we saw the beginning of that revolution, simultaneous video and mobile at the very same time, and they were interactive. They did relate to each other. Projections for online TV by 2017, this year, 50% of all pay TV subscriptions will be online, and that's true. The latest data I saw was that now the number of people who subscribe to Hulu and Netflix and those sorts of companies now is greater than the number of people that subscribe to cable. And so now a lot of them subscribe to both still. They haven't dumped cable necessarily yet, but still the number of people subscribing to online paid services now outnumbers the number of people who are subscribing to cable. Advertising-based free TV is 67% in 2000, grew 67% in 2012. Basically, this would include YouTube. YouTube is very rapidly increasing its advertising while it's increasing its content. You can get a lot of movies and stuff on YouTube now that you couldn't get a couple of years ago. And so YouTube is trying to fight them with advertising-based content. It may be a little bit irritating at times, but it's free. And so some of the polls show that a lot of people are very satisfied with just YouTube. They don't need Hulu, and they don't need Netflix, and they don't need paid cable. They enjoy YouTube. And some of their stuff they enjoy are not the movies. They're enjoying that silly stuff of, funny looking, funny things that animals do and funny things that babies do and all the sort of stuff that gets viralized on YouTube. They like that, fine. They may not be watching that much long content like movies. They're watching the silly stuff. So it works. The projection between 2011 and 2016 was to increase the bandwidth, the broadband use on the internet by at least 400%. And I'd say that's surpassed that. Part of that is mobile, that automatically places like Kazakhstan now have much faster access speeds because a good share of broadband in Kazakhstan is mobile broadband. And so there are villages and stuff in Kazakhstan that will probably never get fixed wired broadband, ever. Because they're just jumping a generation of technology and they're going straight from dial-up to mobile. And they will never get fixed wire. And that's true around the world. I'm just using Kazakhstan as an example of where I used to work. Internet devices was doubling between 2011 and 2017. This is an estimate at this point, but that's 2.5 internet devices for every man, woman, child, baby on the world. And of course, that obviously includes most of these devices now are mobile. I don't think I put the slide on it, but basically, by now, there's probably 3 times as many mobile connections to the internet as fixed wire connections now. It was already over 2 several years ago, and it was driving forward. So I think it's probably surpassed 3 times as many mobile connections as fixed wire connections now to the internet. 95% of all executives say that video is still the number 1 form of advertising. It's the most effective type of advertising. That's why I said newspapers are idiots for not offering video advertising on their websites. They don't have to be a TV station to offer video advertising. They need to have some expertise on staff to be able to help people with their video advertising. But they need to allow people to connect, to link it to their print ads, kind of do like Facebook does. You put on a print ad and you can link it to your video. And we charge you a little bit for this, we charge you for this link. We charge you for helping you create your video if you want us to help you with your video. But print newspapers need to be getting into video advertising, even if they don't get into video news content, which they should be doing also, but definitely into video advertising. So why are people switching? Why are advertisers switching to online video advertising? And they are very rapidly doing that. 42% say that online mobile video ads are increasingly viewed as equivalent to TV. They're just as powerful as TV. 54% say it's maturing and becoming a viable competitor to TV. And this is a couple of years old, by the way. So I'd say it's even higher than that now. 61% say it provides higher return on investment than TV. So it's more cost effective than TV ads. 77% say it has superior targeting and is more measurable. That's one of the keys to any online advertising is, can you target it? Can you measure it? You can't, with online advertising of any kind, you can better target and better measure your advertising than you can with traditional advertising. Video increases the amount of engagement. 65% of the viewers watch more than 3/4 of each video, which is much higher than how much text they read. So it captures their attention for a larger portion of the message. The conversion rates, according to 70% of the marketers, increases their conversion rates and has 80% higher on landing pages. So if you put a video on your landing page, we were talking about landing pages earlier, it increases the effectiveness by, almost doubles the effectiveness. And if you do a good job, probably more than doubles the effectiveness. The click rates in email, you can put video in email now, and your click rates on your email is 100 to 200% greater if you include a video in your email. Effectiveness of the surrounding content increases. So you have a video on your landing page or someplace else, you put some text around it, it's more likely they're going to read the text if you have a video there. Now they'll watch the video also, but it just brings them into your story, and they'll read more of your content, of your text content, because you have a video. And the social media engagement increases by 1,000%. So the interaction or the correlation between video and all these other things is greatly enhanced. So in this business, you need to think. You can think about it from the perspective of a journalist, or you can think about it from the perspective of a marketer, and in between, as a newspaper publisher or as a media publisher myself, I'm thinking in between. I'm thinking both. How do I enhance my content? How do I enhance my ability to make money to pay for my content? All this relates to all of that. So video options. What can you do with video? YouTube and other social media videos. Very important, and I'll come back to that in a second. Specific marketing videos to entice viewers to your website. I will get back to it in a second, but that guy whose video you saw on my multimedia blog, that guy in that video, he's from Australia, and he had heard about some of these statistics about how much greater video would drive marketing. And so he started creating very short video ads on YouTube. And he made almost $1 million on products he did not own. He just went online and found commissionable products. And out of those commissionable products, he promoted them with his own videos, some of them made in his bedroom sort of videos. And he made over $800,000 in like 3 years with these very, very simple videos. Anyway, I'll come back to that in a second. Website videos, so a welcome video, a multimedia blog video, how-to video that the consumers say they like how-to videos. They like demonstrations. How do we do this? How do I use your product? How do I use your service? They like how-to videos on your site. Instructional videos kind of related to that. Landing page videos, sales pitch videos. Lots of website videos you can use to enhance your marketing. You can make, even for $45 a month, I can give you the ability to have a live receptionist on your website. $45 a month. You can have it right there, and as soon as somebody comes online, they can talk to a live person, see their video, and talk to them face to face, not just a text chat like most. A lot of websites have a text chat. As soon as you come in, they say, "How can I help you?" in the text chat or whatever. This will have the video. So you come online and you can have a live reception, say, "Hello, how you doing? Can we help you today?" And now you have a whole different type of website. Nobody's doing it, but for $45 a month, I can set you up with a live, to enable a live receptionist. It's lots you can do. Email videos, as I mentioned, live webinars, and then posted. Once you have a live webinar, what do you do with the video? Well, you're going to put it online, and you have a on-demand webinar. And so that webinar does not die. You keep it going, circulating, and drawing more people to your website. So there was a study done by a guy that worked, I think he worked for Google initially, and then he went to another company. But he wanted to compare the page one search engines, the websites that end up on page one. What percentage of the websites on the internet, how do I say this? Well, basically, how likely would you get on page one if you had a video or didn't have a video? That's what it comes down to. If you had a video on a website, how much more likely would it be, if anything, to get on page one of a search engine if you had a video? This is what he found. You had a 5,300% greater likelihood of being on a page one search engine search if you had a video on that web page. Now, I mentioned there's this interaction between search engine optimization and content, and no more correlation than with video. So video on your website is really, really, really important. I mentioned this guy from Australia that made nearly $1 million in, I think it's 3 years, something like that, off of just commissionable items that he didn't own, he didn't produce himself. First off, basically those are very cheap and simple. During that period of time, he made 80 videos, and he made $800,000. And he was making them with cheap equipment in his bedroom initially. He started doing a little better after that. He figured out how to, there's a website where you can hire people to do stuff for you, so he started hiring amateur actors, depending on, that would match his product. So if he wanted somebody fat, he'd find somebody fat. If he wanted somebody slender, or if he wanted somebody athletic, if he wanted somebody whatever, looked like a doctor, he would find people that matched his profile of the person he wanted, and he'd pay them like $50 or something to do his video for him. So everything was inexpensive. He got better and better as he went on, but he started with himself only in his bedroom with cheap equipment. And he mentioned that short is best. One of the things he found as he was able to talk to some people at Google, was that one way that you get higher up in the YouTube search engine. I think I may have mentioned this before, but search engine is the second most used search engine in the world, even though it only searches their own videos. It's so popular of a site that it's the number 2 search engine in the world. What's better than that? Their owner, Google. So Google owns the 2 most used search engines in the world, their own search engine for the whole entire internet, and their YouTube search engine that just handles YouTube. And so if you can get page one of either one of those, you've done something good and powerful for your marketing and so forth. So what they told him, what he found out, was that the way you get to the top is by what percentage of your video was viewed by the average viewer. And so if the average viewer watches 80% of your video, that puts you really high up, because a lot of the longer videos only get like maybe 20% viewership. And after 20%, they cut off because they're too long. They didn't want to watch the whole thing. And so the higher percentage of the video that your typical viewer watches makes you more popular on the search engine. So short is better. Short and to the point. Say exactly what you need to say and get off. The first 7 seconds are vital. You need to capture their attention, tell them what it is, and react to what it is that they came to view your video for immediately. That we have what you want here, basically. It has to be super targeted. So when you go you put up a YouTube video, it allows you to put your keywords in there. And one of his example is that one of his commissionable products was weight loss. But he didn't do videos on weight loss. Not weight loss in general. There's too much competition there. But he did weight loss and how to lose weight from your stomach, how to lose weight from your hips, how to lose weight from your thighs. So he was very, very specific about where people might want to lose weight. And consequently, people that responded to his keywords were people that were looking for something very specific, and he made his videos accordingly. So his videos didn't talk about weight loss in general. They talked about weight loss from the stomach, weight loss from the hips, weight loss from the thighs, whatever it might deal with. That's what his video addressed. That's what his keywords addressed. So it was super targeted. And so when they came, he could talk to them individual. You want to lose weight from your waist? We have the way for you to do this. And very quickly, in less than a minute, tell his story, get them to come to his website. So all of his video marketing is to drive people to his website. Make it very clear, low pressure, no big deal. But we have the solution for your problem, whatever your problem is. We've got the solution for it. We'd love to invite you to our website. And that may be where they use other inbound marketing tactics. Free webinar, free ebook, free brochure, free something. Get people to give them their name and email address. Get them into the database. Create a very strong landing page, including a second video perhaps. Offer free full webinar, that sort of stuff that I was saying. And they volunteer their data to you. And then you establish a relationship with them over time. And ultimately they become your customer. So he made nearly $1 million. Now he's making more money off his own products because now he's selling how to do this to the marketing world now that he's done it, now that he's shown how to do it. So that's 5,300% just randomly. No matter how good their videos are, you have a 5,300% more chance of being on page one of a search engine result, even if you're an idiot, even if your video's terrible, even if you don't know what you're doing. What if you actually know what you're doing? Then it's going to be better than that. So we go back to the idea that content is king. That creates the buzz, that attracts the visitors, that achieves the credibility, that gets you the contact information, that helps you convert visitors into clients. Anyway, I'm going to stop there, but actually my NGO created a website with 1,000 pages that we're giving away free. The idea is we'll give you the 1,000 websites in exchange for a little bit of advertising. Like a TV network in America works, we give you the content, you let us put a little bit of advertising on it. And so that's what my NGO is doing. But there's, anyway, the other stuff I'm not going to bother to go through. I guess the whole thing will probably be I'll post on our Moodle site, but I'm not going to get into the rest. There are other aspects to it too. Well, maybe I will. This is another important aspect, I guess. The question is, what's the most powerful formula of our time? It's not Einstein's. It's Google's. How do you get to the front page? That's the most important formula of our time because it's economic. How do you get to the front page? What they've shown is that 75% of the people who Google never go off page one. So and 66% never go past the first 3 organic postings. Not that they ignore, a lot of people ignore the paid postings, but they don't get past the first 3 organic postings on the search engine. 66% do not. So if you don't get on page 1, and ideally and among the top 3, then your search engine, it's not optimized. Your search engine optimization is down the tube, basically. You haven't done anything. So that makes understanding how the search engine works very important. And a part of the Google formula is how many inbound links you have. An inbound link is a link from another website to your site. They count that like votes. The number of what they consider organic links to your website, they count as votes, and they're basically saying this website thinks that you have cool stuff in your website. This website thinks you have cool stuff in your website. They also change a little bit by how powerful the website is that is saying that you have good content. So it's not just a 1-for-1 vote, but if the New York Times says I have cool stuff on my website, it's worth more than if you say I have cool stuff on my website, basically. So in the modern world, links are currency. The number of links you can get to your website, and so the more content you have to your website, the more likely somebody's going to link to you, and that's going to drive you up in the search engine optimization as well. So they have more entry points. They also have more inbound links, are tied together. Part of what I was setting up with my NGO is to have all the affiliates linked to each other with their original content, specifically their original content, so it would not be just a directory, but my website would be linked to the original content of maybe 10,000 other websites. That's something I'm still working on. Here's another, and I zoomed in a little bit on the next website here, and then I actually made my own chart to emphasize the important points. This was a study done of the most successful websites and the least successful websites. The most successful websites has a content director, and they have a content plan. Most organizations don't have either one. They don't have a content director. They don't have a content plan. And so if they don't, then they're not going to be as successful. There's other items too that kind of relate to it. How many social media platforms are you using? How many different, what percentage of your marketing budget is going to content marketing? Other high correlations too. How many different tactics are you using, like ebooks and blogs and all this sort of stuff? Also relates to how successful the web pages are. Okay, that's where I'll stop. And so once you get into the business, like I said, all these tactics are relevant. If you're starting an online publication of some sort of online news medium, you need to understand all this stuff for your news medium. Newspapers need to understand why they're not being successful, why they're going broke. They don't understand a lot of these principles about selling themselves to the public. They don't understand why they have to have offer video advertising to their customers. They don't understand this stuff. So if you are in the business of news, you need to understand this stuff. If you get into the business of PR, you need to understand this stuff. If you open up your own site, you definitely need to understand this stuff. As a newspaper publisher, I needed to understand the news side and the advertising side to be successful. I need to be able to do both. And this is the same sort of thing. If you want to be successful in your work in the communication industry, you need to understand this stuff. What's driving communications in this modern age? And this is sort of stuff that's driving it. So, okay, is the presentation group ready to present? Okay, come on up. So we're going to start, and they might not get done today, but we will get them started and they can finish on Friday. The other group should also be ready for Friday also, and let's They're both in our classes.
Good morning. The topic of our group today is the humanity in the age of audiovisual media. And let's start. As you can see, the code is tell the story of Asian king named Leonidas. He wants to see the corpse lay near the graves. He feels guilty, but he can't help watching it. Though the story is told by the Plato, the great thinker of the ancient Greeks, and through the story we can know the Plato's opinion towards the dramas and the actors. First, is he didn't like and feel about actors because in ancient times dramas pretend life and do tricks, like being said in our textbook. Because actors pretend of being sad, and people will see actual pain, but it's all is fake. And when people enjoy watching actors acting, and the dramas will corrupt them. And finally, our moral decline is inevitable. And modern people actually cannot be convinced by Plato's opinion, but one point still is convincing in modern time, because when drama was equal to audiovisual media today, and the same feature of them is they are extraordinary comparing. Comparing means very attractive. We can reject reading or listening the books, reading books or listening the music we don't like. We can reject them, but we cannot reject audiovisual media. And sometimes we even lose control. This point is predicted by Plato, and it's very fearful and scary, because when we talking about losing control, it's always fearful. Before the reasons are demonstrated, let's know about the features of the audiovisual media and how they work. Let's welcome my partners.
I'll talk about why we watch and why we listen.
Please, sorry, make sure that give everybody your name in case somebody doesn't know you, so that they know who they're quoting for the report.
Okay. My name is Luo Qian, and the poor theory of media evolution is valid in the case of audiovisual media, and there are two things need to be established to prove this theory. First, we must show that we knew how to do audiovisual media before we did them, at least very often or widely. Second, we need to show that some significant historical disjuncture made existing media, talking, writing, and printing, insufficient for the purposes of some organized group or groups, and that these groups developed a pre-existing technical capacity. In this case, audiovisual know how to into a real medium. And next part is audiovisual media before audiovisual media. Humans really like to watch and listen. They have a natural and ineradicable hunger to see and hear certain things. But in a long era, there were no artificial visual or sonic media. That began to change about 40,000 years ago, when our ancestors started to draw, paint, and sculpt things, judging by what they drew. Painted and sculpted, they were very interested in what we are still very interested in: sex, food, drink, power, and so on. In addition to the visual arts, our ancestors also used to performing arts to represent this common set of earthly things. It stands to reason that prehistoric people performed rituals in which dramatic events were reenacted. By the time of the 5th century BC, the dramatic arts were both highly developed and very popular in the Hellenic world, but they were also controversial. For nearly 1,500 years, the technology designed to deliver representations of earthly things remained unchanged. The graphic, plastic, and dramatic arts are real arts. Most common folk in the manuscript era didn't have any of these things. Thus, they were consumers, not producers of high-quality art. But high-quality art wasn't easy to come by for two reasons. The first was economic. Really good representations, whereas painting, sculpture, and drama were going to be expensive. The second was logistical. Even in the cases where good art was affordable, there were real limits on the size of the audiences that could view it. These two considerations, scarcity and audience size, meant that many people in the manuscript era were not going to get to see or hear the things they wanted to see or hear. Throughout the manuscript and print eras, the commoner's calendar was full of festivals, fairs, and games. These folk traditions went some way towards satisfying people's appetites for oral and visual stimulation, and thereby reduced social pressure. But just as important were the positive measures taken to reduce the appetite itself. From Plato to Shakespeare, and even after, the authority, especially literate princes and priests, told people that some representations could do tangible harm and should therefore be strenuously avoided. Grave images, polyphonic music, and such might offend the deities, which would naturally provoke their wrath. But the basic problem remained, an endemic characteristic of manuscript and print cultures: too much demand for audiovisual stimulation and not enough supply. To right this imbalance, some means had to be found to lower the cost of producing representations of earthly things. The previous of print experts at lowering production costs were the first to attempt a solution. From the earliest days of printing, publishers realized that pictures helped push their textual products. They also pushed for ever more accurate pictures, but photography never occurred to them at that time. The first device capable of recording sound was Edward Scott's phonautograph in 1857. After being granted a patent in 1896, Guglielmo Marconi began to sell the technology radio, primarily for ship-to-shore communications. The first recognizably commercial radio stations, however, were not organized until the 1920s. The first commercial television broadcasts were not made until the 1930s, and the technology was not really widely adopted until the 1950s. Although it took some time for corporations to see the potential of audiovisual technologies and to organize the industry, when they did, audiovisual media spread at a rate faster than any medium in history. According to an estimate in the CIA World Fact Book, there were over 2.5 billion radios and 1.4 billion televisions in the world in 1997, the last date for which data are available. That's all of my part. Welcome, my partner.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Zhao Tiantian. I will talk about pulling audiovisual media into existence and audiovisual media and human nature. Why did audiovisual media take off with such rapidly in the 21st century? By the late 18th century, three organizations' interests were undergoing significant change. In this transformation, we will look for and find the increase in demand that put audiovisual media into widespread use. Both liberal and conservative regimes answered the popular call for the creation of a social safety net. Among these, we find audiovisual media, particularly the telephone, radio, and television. People saw these things and they wanted them. Moreover, there were compelling economic reasons for some sort of central coordination of these emerging networks. Combine these two reasons with the fact that European regimes already control the telegraphic, the first electronic network, and you will have compelling case for the state support the control of the new audiovisual media. So it happens that European countries generally opt for state-run telephone networks, as well as taxpayer subsidized national radio and television broadcasting services. BBC becomes the most familiar example. The film industry was also heavily subsidized in Europe, and is to this day. The United States take a different path, electing for private telegraphy, filmmaking, radio, and TV. Modern states are welfare states, and welfare states make sure their citizens have things to listen and to watch. Every early modern European regimes and the face participated in censorship, so they regulate or attempt to regulate what could be heard and views. About audiovisual media and human nature. Audiovisual media, once properly engineered for mass consumption, took off very quickly. During our evaluation, these specific stimuli were always relevant because they often had a visible impact on our fitness. Thus, over the course of million years, our response to this became reflexive. They were made part of the elementary program that guides human behavior, not unlike the program embedded in the automatic nervous system. What audiovisual media did in the modern era, the media environment comprised of talking, manuscript writing, and print becomes even more complicated with the addition of audiovisual media. Bear in mind that later did not supplant the former media, as we were said, assimilate over time. Neither did audiovisual media become to dominate human communications. Then welcome my partner to talk about audiovisual media.
Do we need to stop now? We can stop now if you want to start on Monday. Up to you. If you have time, you can go ahead and present.
Go
ahead. My part is accessibility and privacy of audiovisual media. Audiovisual media is both accessible and inaccessible like print, depending on whether you are a sender or recipient of it. On the send side, the tools and skills necessary to produce and send audiovisual signals are expensive, and the equipment itself is also expensive, including sound stages, microphones, cameras, transmitters, satellites, and so on. Not everybody could afford it. Naturally, the audiovisual production is expensive, and it makes it most costly by artificial means. If you have your own studio, you will need to learn how to use, because it's difficult, and learn degrees in journalism and dramatic arts as well. It's hard for individuals to finish them all. That's why audiovisual media are produced and transmitted by large teams of people. With the audiovisual media, the studio and transmission facilities themselves cannot be hidden, so that governments always want to control the airwaves. On the receive side, the tools and skills necessary to get and understand audiovisual signals are generally cheap. You just need a box, either a radio or a TV. These items are becoming cheaper and almost everyone could afford it. As for skills, you don't need to learn anything because you have eyes and ears so that you could watch and listen. You don't need to learn to watch the TV or listen to the radio. Maybe sometimes you will have the language barrier that makes you misunderstood, but it doesn't mean that you don't get anything. On the same side, network is concentrated. Control of the means to produce and transmit audiovisual signals is held by a few nodes. Hierarchicalization can clearly be seen in modern audiovisual networks. Any citizen was free to transmit audiovisual signals within the limit of the state's regulatory structure. And on the receive side, a network is diffused. A large percentage of those in the network will have the ability to receive signals. Equalization is just as apparent. In the manuscript and print eras, there were many different audiences, literate and oral, elite and common, this area and that area, this region and that region. Many observers noted this phenomenon. In 1956, for example, C. Wright Mills wrote a classic treatment of mass society. The mass consumption of audiovisual media was intertwined with the notion of democratic citizenship. Any citizen could listen and watch the audiovisual media. Then we see the printing is public, read printing is private. Convey the information is public and receive the information is private. On the same side, it's difficult to hide the fact that you are broadcasting signals from a radio or television station. On the receive side, it's possible for someone to tell whether you are listening to the radio or watch TV in the privacy of your own home. You won't be able to broadcast audiovisual signals without revealing your position, but you will probably be able to privately listen to or watch whatever you like. Broadcast audiovisual production and distribution will open. Public affairs, movies, radio, and TV were believed to be public or quasi-public property. The consumption of audiovisual media became more private with the development of the society as the early 1890s. But the privatization of audiovisual consumption didn't really take off until mid-century. In the 1970s, every member of the family should have his or her own space, and further privatized the consumption of audiovisual media. You can receive what you like, and no politician could stop you. So in the second half of the 20th century, it became both legal and acceptable to consume, like audiovisual pornography, so long as it didn't travel through the public's airwaves. That's all, thank you.
If you feel like you want to stop until Monday, you can stop here. Whatever you want. It's almost 11. You want to stop?
Can we present on Friday?
Yeah, Friday. Yeah, Friday.
Okay.
Try to be here in time though, so we can get it done first thing.
Is your list of people in order of presentation? Go ahead.
Just list up here. Question is this the order in which you presented? Okay, so for anybody looking for names, this is the order in which they're presented.